Today, the Supreme Court came out with its ruling on the timeline for payment of the adjusted gross revenue dues of telcos. The Supreme Court has given the telcos like Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea 10 years to make their payment. The payment would include interest as well. This is Romit Guha reporting for the Economic Times. Tuesday's Supreme Court order comes after a 2019 October judgment where the Supreme Court had widened the definition of AGR to include non-core items. These telcos need to make the payment starting February 2021. They need to make an upfront payment, which is 10% of their balance dues, by the 31st of March 2021. And the final payment would stretch to March 31, 2031. This ruling has a huge impact on the sector. Vodafone Idea does get a breathing space to pay up its huge dues. It is a cash-strapped, loss-making company which also has to put in money into its networks to compete with its rivals like Airtel and Reliance Jio to be able to better compete in the market. Experts say that Vodafone Idea will only be able to meet its payment dues as well as invest in the expenditure on networks as required, only if it manages to generate some cash from external investors or even the promoters. Some analysts are talking about $3 to $4 billion of cash infusion over the next 12 to 18 months that Vodafone Idea would need to be able to, one, pay its AGR dues, two, to be investing in its networks to compete with its rivals. Else, the company is headed for bankruptcy, which would mean a duopoly in the telecom sector. Duopoly leaving Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio Infocom as the only two private players, apart from BSNL, which is the state-run player. Today's judgment has implications for Airtel as well. Airtel is far more stronger than Vodafone Idea in terms of its balance sheet. It has raised $7 to $8 billion over the last 3 to 4 years. So it gets a lot more breathing space to pay up. Also, there are expectations that the weaker Vodafone Idea gets, the stronger Airtel and Jio will become as they garner the market share feeded by Vodafone Idea. This is reflected in the stock price movement. Vodafone Idea's shares have tanked nearly 20% today. Airtel's shares have gone up some 6-7% in intraday trade, reflecting the contrasting fortunes and the contrasting fallouts of today's important Supreme Court judgment. Reliance Jio is emerges as the best out of the three because it hardly has any, whatever it dues it has already paid. It had 195 crore in dues. It has already paid that. There were other two rulings as well, which were expected. One was whether spectrum right to use could be transferred under IBC. The Supreme Court has left that to the NCLT and the NCLT. The Supreme Court has not given its order on the third issue, which was under consideration, which was whether companies like Jio and Airtel, which were using the spectrum of bankrupt companies like Reliance Communications and Airtel and Videocon through a spectrum sharing or trading agreement, needed to take on the liabilities of these bankrupt companies. The Supreme Court is silent on that. The order hasn't come out, so there is no clarity on that as yet.